You're listening to the Third Coast Gridiron H-Town's podcast on the LSG Network with your host, Marc Henry.
Turn on the stove, turn on the smoker, get all your trimmings ready. It's that time of year. Who's playing and practicing after Thanksgiving? We'll talk about that and more right here on the Third Coast Gridiron TCG on the LSG Network, the authority for high school football in the state of Texas. It's that time of year. The third round of the playoffs. We'll talk about that, a couple of big matchups, and a key matchup that I'm really intrigued and super excited about. We talked about it a couple weeks ago. DeSoto and Willis, Dallas versus Houston. You can't get any bigger than that when you talk Texas high school football, especially playoff football. We'll talk about some of those matchups and more. We'll take a small break here on TCG and come back and talk about a couple of area round big upsets here on TCG, the Third Coast Gridiron.
With open enrollment for Medicare, ACA, Obamacare, and small group plans for businesses with less than 100 employees, if you're in need of health insurance solutions, look no further than HAP Insurance Agency. Yes, HAP Insurance Agency is a fantastic resource right in the heart of College Station, Texas. Whether you're in retirement, a business owner, or simply looking for the best health coverage option, HAP Insurance Agency has got you covered. You can find them in College Station at 1551 Greens Prairie Road West, Suite 101A, or give Holly Pritchard a call at 972-897-0814. That's HAP Insurance Agency. Do you have a party coming up or just want a special gift? Check out Nani's Sweeter Side. Yes, Nani's Sweeter Side makes the most amazing custom-created sugar cookies with your design. They also offer paint your own cookies and decorate your own cookies. Those make an excellent sweet activity that you can sink your teeth into at parties. Nani's also offers some of the most amazing cupcakes ever. You can check out Nani's Sweeter Side at nanisweeterside.com. That's N-A-N-I. Check her out on Facebook. Just look for Nani's Sweeter Side. Or give her a call at 937-499-4790. At Nani's Sweeter Side, you'll find that happiness is homemade.
The second round of the playoffs had some phenomenal games. Let's dive right into it. The Woodlands gets a big victory over Klein Collins, 28-27. They blocked a field goal attempt as time expired to get the win. Listen, Quanell Farrakhan Jr. gave everything he could and more to get the Highlanders to 9-3, and he was a big factor in the lead for good, which they took over 28-27 on a 10-yard touchdown. They advanced to the regional semifinals for the second consecutive year. Shout out to the Woodlands, a very good team. But they draw one of the best teams in the state in the Duncanville Panthers from North Texas. Another Dallas-Houston matchup. That'll be a phenomenal game. Westfield over Klein came 55-41. This was a nip and tuck back and forth game between two teams with potent offenses. Shout out to Westfield. They will face Rockwall, another team from the Dallas-Fort Worth area, in the regional semifinals. Big game. North Shore 49-21 over Clear Springs. Of course, North Shore's the number one ranked team in the state. They will be tough to get out, and we'll talk about their matchup here in week 3 in just a little bit. They will face off against Cy-Fair, who we'll talk about, who got a big victory over Katy 28-21 in overtime to knock out the Katy Tigers. Atascocita 61-35 over Pearland. Great job by Atascocita. They will face a tough Lamar Texans team this coming Friday at NRG. Summer Creek 42-0 over Clear Creek. Listen, Summer Creek's playing phenomenal. They've won 6 straight since their loss to North Shore. This is a team that's going to be a tough out, and they're playing great football. They will face off against Stratford in round 3. Stratford with a big victory over George Ranch 49-34. Hightower gets past Heights 26-21. They will play C King at NRG on Friday at 10 a.m. There's a couple of triple headers going on at NRG, which we'll talk about those here in just a little bit on Friday and Saturday. Richland from the DFW area gets a big victory over Barbers Hill, 48-47. This was a tough game. Barbers Hill, shout out to those guys for having a phenomenal season. Richland's a very tough team. I've seen a lot of film and heard a lot of good things about those guys coming out of the DFW area, and they get a big victory over Barbers Hill. A tough loss for those guys. Cedar Park from the Austin area over Angleton, 21-3. They will face off against the next team we'll talk about, A&M Consolidated, in round 3, who gets a big victory over Fulshire, 31-13. Listen, let me talk to you about a player from A&M Consolidated. Trace Meadows is a senior. He's a Swiss Army knife type player. He plays safety. He plays kick returner. He plays linebacker. He plays running back. He can line up a receiver. He's committed to Utah Tech, but there's some schools that are swinging around back to get a look at this guy. Remember that name as they match up against Cedar Park this week from College Station. A&M Consolidated is a talented team, and they get the big victory, and they move on to the next round. College Station over Magnolia, 45-21. Smithson Valley oust Magnolia West, 20-17. Lake Creek over Crockett, 78-27. Lake Creek has been a dominant team. They are undefeated. They were number 1 in the final state rankings. Listen, this is a team that can get it done. I am super excited for those guys up at Lake Creek. They've been playing great all season long. This is a team that you want to see, man. You got to pull up on these guys, man. And they take on P&G, Port Neches Groves, in round 3. That'll be a big matchup, and we'll get a chance to talk about that when we wrap up with round 3. Shout out to Randall. This is a great team. I love what those guys are doing. Shout out to my guy, Coach Randall. Moving on to the 3rd round with a big victory over Belton, 47-21. These guys are playing great. They've only got 1 loss on the season. They'll take on Huntsville in round 3 of the playoffs. Kilgore over Bay City, 37-28. Big victory for Kilgore coming out of East Texas. Of course, another East Texas team that came down to the Houston area. Tyler Chapel Hill takes out Acampo, 54-18. Iowa Colony stays in the driver's seat, man. 12-0 for Iowa Colony in a 45-22 victory over Lindale. Those guys are playing phenomenal. The Pioneers will take on Tyler Chapel Hill in round 3. Belleville over Madisonville, 67-0. Columbus gets by Woodville, 24-27. Poth over East Bernard, 14-7. And we'll talk about some of the bigger games here in week 2 in just a moment. We'll take a small break because you got to break these down, especially that big upset that we're going to talk about here in just a moment on TZC. Listen, we'll be right back. Pause for a second and come back and talk about a couple more games before we get to week 3.
Looking to boost your company's marketing? Look no further than Fresh Media Works. Podcasting is the best way to promote your brand and increase your customer base. You can create your own show, be a guest on other podcasts, or advertise on existing podcasts to reach a valuable audience. Don't wait. Start elevating your marketing game today with Fresh Media Works. Call now, 713-269-4620, or find us online at freshmediaworks.com/podcasting.
Hey, football fans, Christmas is right around the corner. We have the perfect gift for your high school football fan in your life. Friday Night Legends, the board game. With Friday Night Legends, you can play the greatest high school teams of all time against each other based on their real stats. That means you can play the 1989 Odessa Permian Panthers of Friday Night Lights fame against the 2017 Mater Day team and really see who's the better team. Or what about Peyton Manning's Newman High School in New Orleans against Trevor Lawrence's Cartersville, Georgia team? There are thousands of teams in the library from all over the United States. Get your copy of Friday Night Legends at BoardGameLegends.com and be the hero of Christmas morning.
Right. Let's finish up week 2 before we move on to week 3, the regional semifinals. Tomball got a big victory over Oak Ridge in overtime to advance. Listen, they've been playing great. They advanced to the regional finals for the 3rd straight year and will take on Cedar Hill out of the DFW area, which got by North Forney 59-21. This is going to be a big game. A lot of people are, of course, going to concentrate on a couple more games that we'll get to. But Oak Ridge was a great team. This was a big win for Tomball, and they get the victory to advance to the 3rd round of the playoffs. C.E. King stays alive with a big 37-20 victory over Clear Falls. Darius Clark James, a quarterback for C.E. King, has been one of the mainstays on the Panthers offense this season. He's playing phenomenal. He led 3 third-quarter touchdown drives to get the win. And listen, C.E. King's in that district. We've been talking about it most of the year with Summer Creek, of course, North Shore, and Atascocita. And C.E. King will get Hightower this week in round 3. Should be a phenomenal game, as we talked about. Hightower advancing and getting a 26-21 victory over Heights. Lamar gets a big victory over Ridge Point 31-28 to advance to the Division I semifinals for the first time since 2017. Jordan Reeves has been a phenomenal quarterback over at Lamar. They take on Atascocita 6 p.m., the final game of the triple header on Friday at NRG. I think that the Texans are going to give Atascocita everything they want in this particular matchup. Of course, you got Zion Brown, Braylon Conley and company, Blaylock, lots of talent over there, Jelani Watkins. This is going to be a great game. If you can pull up to NRG on Friday, this is a game that you're going to want to see. Big-time matchup between two teams that probably have a chance to make it out of this region and go to state. Probably one of the biggest games and upsets that you heard about this past weekend. Cy-Fair takes down Katy in overtime, a thrilling game, 28-21. Trey Owens, the Texas commit at quarterback, was phenomenal. This is a big game. The first time that Katy's out of the playoffs this early since 2001. I think that Cy-Fair has a great chance to get out of this particular region. Again, Trey Owens was phenomenal on one drive, a 15-play, 75-yard drive that ate up over 6 minutes worth of clock, was the big play to get it done. He hit Rice commit Owen Carter with 43 seconds to go to force overtime. Of course, Katy played a phenomenal game, and this is a team that everybody looked at coming out of this region. That could be a team to come out, to advance to the state championship. But Cy-Fair had other things on their mind. I think that this is a team that you definitely want to check out. Of course, they draw the number 1 team in the state in North Shore in this particular round, round 3, which we'll talk about here shortly. But I think that if it's anybody that can do it, it's Cy-Fair. I think that Trey Owens is one of the best quarterbacks in the state of Texas. He was 31 of 45 for 298 yards and 3 touchdowns on the night against Katy. Porter had 110 yards and 2 touchdowns on 8 catches. They got some guys that can go over there. Of course, North Shore is going to be one of the best teams in the state. Top to bottom, they're one of the most talented teams in the state. So we look forward for this being a big matchup. This is a matchup at NRG as well. I think this will be a 2 p.m. Matchup that, man, if you can pull up, man, this is a game that you want to see. You're going to see lots of talent on this team, on both teams, a matter of fact, that'll play on Saturdays in the near future. You'll see these guys on television. So, get a chance to see those guys as high school players, man. That'll be a big thing that you can see. I love these matchups at this time of the year. This is when you start to see the best teams come out, man. And I really like what Cy-Fair did and taking down Katy. That's a juggernaut. A lot of people thought that Katy had a chance, like I said, to come out of this region. But Cy-Fair showed that they got the goods to do it, and they had a big win to get it done. And the last game we'll talk about before we move on to week 3 of the playoffs, of course, Willis gets it done. DJ Lagway, Jermaine Bishop and company These two guys connected for 5 TDs as they roll past Tomball Memorial, will stay undefeated in the round 2 of the playoffs. I think that Willis has the chance to make a state run. They got a big challenge coming up this week, which we'll talk about in the week 3 matchups in the DeSoto Eagles, one of the top teams in the state as well, coming in undefeated as well. This is a game that I've been wanting to see most of the year. But again, they take care of business and get to the next round by taking out Tomball Memorial 42-21 in round 2. Let's pause. We're going to come back and we're going to talk week 3 matchups heading into Thanksgiving weekend, man. These teams will be practicing on tomorrow on Thanksgiving Day. These are the matchups. This is so exciting. This is how we get it done, man. The TCG Third Coast Gridiron, of course, right here on the LSG Network. Let's pause, take a break, and come back and talk about these matchups in round 3 of the playoffs.
Hey, did you know volleyball is the fastest growing sport in the country? Yes, volleyball is exploding. And so is our coverage of volleyball. Starting in a couple weeks, the High School Volleyball Coaches Show will launch. It's going to be by myself and Mick Haley. Mick Haley, if you know volleyball, you know him. He's won national championships coaching UT volleyball, won national championships coaching USC volleyball. He coached Olympic volleyball. You name it, he has done it all. And what we're going to do, we're going to talk to the top high school volleyball coaches in the country, not just Texas, the entire country, and it's going to be great. The High School Volleyball Coaches Show coming to you very soon. With open enrollment for Medicare, ACA, Obamacare, and small group plans for businesses with less than 100 employees, if you're in need of health insurance solutions, look no further than HAP Insurance Agency. Yes, HAP Insurance Agency is a fantastic resource right in the heart of College Station, Texas. Whether you're in retirement, a business owner, or simply looking for the best health coverage option, HAP Insurance Agency has got you covered. You can find them in College Station at 1551 Greens Prairie Road West, Suite 101A, or give Holly Pritchard a call at 972-897-0814. That's HAP Insurance Agency.
Round 3, let's get to it, man. Some big matchups, some of the best teams, not only in Houston, but in the state of Texas. Cy-Fair, North Shore, 2 p.m. at NRG Friday. Big game, 6A D1 matchup. Of course, Cy-Fair got the big upset over Katy to advance, and North Shore comes in right now ranked as the number 1 team in the state of Texas in 6A. Big game for all the marbles to advance to the regional final. I think that these two teams have the capacity to come out of this particular region and make a run to the state championship. Trey Owens had a phenomenal game. We talked about that. Almost 300 yards passing and 3 touchdowns. North Shore, listen, defensively, they got one of the best cornerbacks in the country in Devin Sanchez. So I expect this to be a game of who makes the least mistakes, the least turnovers. And, both of these teams want to come out and establish the run game. Of course, you got DeAndre Hardiman Jr. for North Shore and that big offensive line. Look for them to really get physical with Cy-Fair up front. And in the nightcap, same day, at NRG Stadium, Lamar Atascocita. Atascocita comes in with Zion Brown, the senior quarterback, who's a phenomenal talent. One of the best quarterbacks in the state. You got Blaylock, you got Braylon Conley on the defensive side. This should be a very, very good game against an undefeated Lamar Texan team that is hungry. One of the best teams in the H. Definitely the top team coming out of the HISD ranks. This is going to be a tough contest for Atascocita. Lamar has a lot of talent over there, and they've been playing phenomenal, undefeated on the season. This will be one of their biggest tests to this point. This is a game you might want to pull up on. Of course, it's a triple header on Friday and Saturday at NRG. Definitely 2 games that you want to take a look at. Tomball takes on Cedar Hill out of the DFW area at Waco ISC Stadium on Saturday, 4 p.m. kickoff. Big game. Cedar Hill's a strong team. Some would say, they call it the District of Doom, that features Duncanville, DeSoto, Waxahachie, Mansfield, and Cedar Hill as well. All three teams still in the playoffs, as Summer Creek, North Shore, Sea King are still in the playoffs. These teams are going to start to cross match up coming out of those districts. That's phenomenal. When you talk about high school football at the highest level, this is what you're talking about when you come to playoff football. Of course, the big game, is Willis DeSoto. It's a game that I have been talking about, two undefeated teams for the last couple of weeks. Of course, DJ Lagway is one of the best in the country, as well as DJ Bailey from DeSoto, one of the best quarterbacks that you will see on Friday nights in the state of Texas. I would gather to say DJ Bailey is one of the best quarterbacks in the country. Quick release. He can throw it from any platform angle. He plays very, very smart, efficient football. Let me tell you something about DJ Bailey from DeSoto. He's only thrown 3 interceptions in 2 years. Just take a minute to think about that. And he won a state championship last year, and he only had 2 picks. That means he's only thrown 1 this year. He's a phenomenal talent. This is a game that you'll want to see. Tiger Ryden is one of the top running backs in the state of Texas in the class of 2025. This is a loaded team. DeSoto is one of the best teams in the state. They got a very, very good defense. Brandon Booker is one of the top linebackers in the state in the class of 2024. They can play. This is going to be a challenge for Willis, probably the best defense that they faced the entire season. But if anybody can get it done, it's those guys from Willis. I really like what they do offensively. Shout out to my guy, DeBron Hampton over there. Amari Holmes, of course, Jermaine Bishop Jr. These guys can play. Jalen Mickens is a playmaker as well. DeSoto's going to have their hands full trying to stop them offensively. I think this is a big, big game. I really hate that it's in San Antonio. This is a game that should be at NRG. You know what I'm saying? I really, really, really wanted to see this game in person, but it's in San Antonio. I don't know if I'm going to make that drive, honestly, man. But this is just me talking about really high-level football that I want to see between, I think, two teams, two of the better teams in the state. I think these two teams could be 1 and 2, depending on who you talk to. This is almost like a state championship type feel with this particular game. Everybody around the state's talking about this one. Of course, we're talking about it here in the H. But Willis DeSoto, 7 p.m. at the Alamo Dome on Friday in San Antonio. Another matchup on Saturday at Tomball ISD Stadium, Summer Creek, which we talked about the Bulldogs a little earlier, against Stratford. Of course, the Bulldogs have a standout at running back in Lloyd Avant, who's been playing phenomenal for the last few years. He'll be getting a lot of carries against Stratford. I think that this is a game that Summer Creek would probably be the favorite to move on. On the other side of that bracket, you got District 4 C. King taking on Hightower. We talked about C. King a few minutes ago as a top team coming out of the Houston area. We could be on a collision course for them to fight for the Region 3 championship coming out of the same district. But Hightower's no slouch. This is a team that's been around and been there and done that. They're 11-1 for a reason. This will be the first game at NRG on Friday at 10 a.m. kickoff. I think that this is what you got to see when you come to high school football. Lake Creek takes on Port Neches Groves P&G. Friday kickoff, 4 p.m. at C. King Panther Stadium. This is a big, big game. I really like what Lake Creek is doing. They're the number 1 ranked team in 5A Division II right now in the state of Texas, and they have a chance to do some big things. Port Neches Groves is a perennial playoff team. They won the state championship last year, lost to a very good South Oak Cliff team out of the Dallas area to get as close as they could. But, listen, if you've never seen South Oak Cliff play, you should pull up. They're a very, very good team. Had a chance to see them play a lot here in the last couple of years. Randall, Huntsville, big game Friday at Woodforest Stadium. Of course, Randall, shout out to my guy, Coach Randall, again, for doing a phenomenal job. He's no rookie when it comes to coaching. He's been around at a couple of stops, was at May Creek before he took over at Randall. This is a second-year program. They got a lot of young talent over there. Shout out to my guy, Coach Randall, for getting these guys up. I think that they're a sleeper to come out of this region. If they can get past Huntsville, don't be surprised if they are in the regional final. I like what Randall's doing. Shout out to my guy, Coach Randall, over there. A couple of more games to look forward to in week 3 of the playoffs. Needville takes on Kilgore out of East Texas. Needville's been playing phenomenal. And, of course, you got Iowa Colony undefeated taking on Tyler Chapel Hill out of East Texas. So 2 matchups in Region 3 in 4A Division 1 that you definitely want to check out. Iowa Colony's an up-and-coming team, only a young program, only been around a couple of years. Shout out to those guys over there for handling their business. Belleville takes on Silsbee, which is a talented team. This is a Friday game at Planet Ford Stadium. Listen, if I'm in that part of the age, man, up close, and I want to see some good football, this is a game that you might want to check out. Shout out to both of those teams who have a number of players that you may see on Saturdays, especially Silsbee. And Columbus takes on Lorena, 10-2 on the season. Columbus is undefeated. This is a Friday game over in the Austin area at Hutto Memorial Stadium that you definitely, listen, if you're in the Austin area, man, and you're checking us out here on TCG, definitely check out that game. Hutto's hosting a couple of big games this weekend over there at that particular stadium. Of course, we're talking about Saturday, the Woodlands in Duncanville, which is going to be a very good game. Duncanville is one of the top teams in the state of Texas. You definitely, if you're in Hutto, man, you got 2 games Friday and Saturday that you want to check out there. The Woodlands, led by Cornell Farrakhan Jr., who we had on the show last month, is a phenomenal talent, class of 2025 wide receiver who can get it done. He's been one of the catalysts to lead the Woodlands here the last couple of years, and especially this year. He's been playing phenomenal. Maybe retired, a Wisconsin committed quarterback's the guy that you want to know if you haven't heard of him over at the Woodlands. But they got their hands full with Duncanville, who's got one of the best players in the country in Colin Simmons coming off the edge. Alex January is also a UT commit, and Keith Ford Jr. is the top defensive player in the class of 2026 along that defensive front. And then you got one of the best running backs in the country in Caden Durham, the LSU commit, who plays for Duncanville as well. Keelan Russell, junior quarterback, is a SMU commit. So the Woodlands got their hands full. This is a big game again Saturday at Hutto Memorial Stadium around the Austin area, a matchup of 2 teams. Duncanville was the state championship winning squad last year in 6A Division 1. Westfield takes on Rockwall on the other side of that bracket. They'll be at Pflugerville, that's outside of Austin. Rockwall's from the DFW area. Westfield, of course, Atkins is one of the phenomenal talents in the area from the running back position. He's a guy that can get it done. He had a great game. He's had a great season altogether. And listen, Rockwall's no slouch. They're coming from the DFW area. They got one of the best running backs that people may not talk about a lot in Ashton Emery. He can get it done from the backfield, in the slot. He can also catch screens out of the backfield. He's a top talent, and he's a guy that I'm sure the Westfield defense is going to be focusing on. He's a big playmaker on that particular offense for Rockwall. That should be a very good game. It's a Saturday kick at 3 p.m. in Pflugerville in the 6A Division 1 bracket in Region 2. So definitely some games, man, you want to check out, man. That triple header Friday and Saturday at NRG is going to be phenomenal. Lots of great matchups, lots of great teams that you might want to pull up on. I can't wait. Definitely, man, we'll have a lot to talk about coming back out of the regional semifinals next week. On the Third Coast Gridiron. This is your host, Marc Henry. Appreciate everybody that's been tuning in, tapping in, messaging, loving the show. We appreciate the Lone Star Gridiron Network for having us. This is our 4th season, man, and our 4th playoff edition of the TCG, the Third Coast Gridiron. You can follow us on Twitter at MarkHen44 or at Third Gridiron on Twitter as well. Follow us at TSTP Show on Twitter and Instagram. Listen, I can't wait. We'll talk to you next week, man. Everybody have a happy Thanksgiving. We appreciate you listening to the Third Coast Gridiron on the LSG Network.
Looking to boost your company's marketing? Look no further than Fresh Media Works. Podcasting is the best way to promote your brand and increase your customer base. You can create your own show, be a guest on other podcasts, or advertise on existing podcasts to reach a valuable audience. Don't wait. Start elevating your marketing game today with Fresh Media Works. Call now, 713-269-4620, or find us online at freshmediaworks.com/podcasting.